Examples of collage. So here's a tip. Even though you can work on any kind of surface, over time I've found that I like a hard surface for my collages. Sometimes I'll use canvas, but a heavier canvas is best. I like the hard surface of hardboard, and that's often what I use. Now, sometimes when you add the papers to the surface, it's important that you have no air bubbles, and then I'll show you what to do later for air bubbles. But keep that in mind. Here are more examples of what you can do with mixed media collage. You're going to use the acrylic gel as a glue, so make sure you have it ready. Make sure it's near you. Here are more examples, landscapes. See the wonderful textures that you can get. And in the one on the left, there's a photocopy transfer. Here's the exercise. Now you have these beautiful hand-painted papers, and now you're going to collage them to your surface. First, you choose one color with 3 different values at least, but I'm just going to talk through this now and then show you a video. Repetition works best, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm repeating these steps over and over again so they become ingrained. So you really remember them every time. So step 1, you're going to assemble your different papers. Then you're going to make them into smaller pieces, 3 basic sizes, small, medium, and large. And I call this Mama, Papa, Baby. It's just a trick to get you to remember the sizes. And then I play with the design until I have a pleasing effect. So watch this video and you'll see what I mean. Again, just a reminder before we get going. You need gel for this collage. You put gel on the canvas, then you add your tissue paper. You put the gel on top of the tissue paper as well. Repeat this process for every piece of paper. Now let's watch the video. Hi, and welcome to Mixed Media Mama, Papa, Baby. Now this is a little trick that I've come up with to get you to remember that we need 3 different sizes every time we use our tissue papers. 3 different sizes of shapes. So you have the different color values and 1 contrasting color. So you start by actually tearing the pieces into rectangular shapes. Now you don't always have to use rectangular shapes. That is just simpler for this exercise. Later on, you can tear your own tissue papers into whatever shape you want. That's just fine. But for this exercise, I want you to work with the 3 different sizes. So you want a small, a medium, and a large shape for every different color family. So every value has baby, mama, and papa. So keep that in mind and keep tearing those shapes. You want to take every section where the color changed and create those 3 different sizes. So this is very simple. So just keep doing it until you've used up all your papers. See how there's different variations. Now keep tearing. See how I'm touching different values here. So different color variations in my color family. I'm going to speed this process up because it's too boring to watch. So here we go. I'm going to tear up a whole bunch of papers really quickly and just keep going until I've used up all my papers. See how fast I'm going? In real life, I don't go that fast. I'm actually very careful and think every step through before I actually do it. So I want you to do the same. But watch how every color value becomes represented. So I have very dark darks, I have light colors, I have the original color in the beginning, and I have variations in between of each color. So each area is represented. That part is very important. Keep doing that until you are completely done all those papers. Now make sure you choose one color or make one color that is the opposite on the color scheme. So this is the orange in between, so I will tear that up too and add little bits of it into my painting. Not a lot, just a few little bits. So just tear until it's all done, and what we'll do is then just collage it on. Now you need two canvases, one for planning and the other one for when you want to transfer that design onto your, for real, like onto the real canvas. So you're actually going to glue it on one canvas and plan it on the other. So you just take the pieces and just play with them. Try and arrange a good composition. What you want is, first of all, a good representation of all the color values, or as many as you can. So you want very light lights, very dark darks, and then you just keep going, keep adding and arranging. Remember that you want a focal point. You want one area that is more interesting than the rest. So to create a focal point, you either put a small shape against a big shape, a light shape against a dark shape against a light shape, and so on and so forth. Now make sure you integrate the opposite color. That is very good to create a focal point too. You use that color near the focal point and it leads your eye towards that focal point. Remember, you need to use it at least 3 times. So the contrasting color, plan on using it at least 3 times, if not more. Odd numbers are better, so 3 times, 5 times, 7 times, and so forth. Just plan it, arrange it so it leads your eye towards the focal point. Having all the shapes and colors lead your eye to the focal point is the important part. So now I'm making believe that I actually am more or less happy with the composition. I'm changing the focal point. I want it more dramatic. I want something that's more interesting, so I keep trying and changing it. When I'm happy, then I can stop. But right now, what I'm doing is trying to pick the areas. So I want to see if everything leads towards the focal point. Are the light areas bringing me to the focal point? Are the dark areas bringing me to the focal point? And so on. Make sure that everything is balanced. Now you're going to use gel. So the gel, you put the gel on first. That's the way it works. Then you take your piece of paper. Well, I guess I didn't put enough gel or a big enough piece, a big enough spot of gel for the piece of paper. Now, because this is so boring to watch, I've speeded it up. So what you need to remember is to put gel under the tissue paper and over the tissue paper as well. Don't worry about the sides. Just do the surface first. Carefully move the pieces from one side, one to the other. There will be a few changes in the process, but you will have a good composition because you arranged it the way you wanted it, and it'll be just about the same. Not exactly the same, but pretty close. So you can see it's happening. Normally I work really slow, and that's why I've speeded it up this time. Gel is semi-opaque when it's wet, but it dries clear. Make sure that you are adding lots of gel. This is not a time to be economical. Be generous. Lots of gel will mean your paper is well sealed, your color is sealed, and everything is very, very solid on there. And you won't have to make any little changes after. So sometimes you get air bubbles, and I talk about that later and how to fix that. So you don't want any air bubbles. Make sure you add lots of gel and carefully brush on the paper so that it has no air bubbles. The more you brush, the less air bubbles. If there's a bump, that is an air bubble, and you don't want that. So do this step, and then I'll see you in the next section. At the end, make sure you do one little bit of one coat of gel over the surface so that everything is covered. You don't want any spots. So this is it, and don't worry about the edges like that. You can do that when the top is dry. You can glue down those pieces once the top is dry. So do this step now, and I'll see you later.